subscribe for the latest in boxing. Joshua looked like he's the guy to do it, become undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. But in his last fight, he did not impress me in his last fight. Wilder is improving. He's getting better. It will be a knockout. Somebody is getting knocked out. So that is what former undisputed and youngest heavyweight champion of all time, Iron Mike Tyson, had to say. He said that Anthony Joshua did not impress him in his last performance against Joseph Parker. And in this same piece, he says that he believes Deontay Wilder is improving and is getting better as a fighter. He also believes that this fight, Joshua versus Wilder, will end in a knockout. It's interesting that, you see former champions like Mike Tyson say, stuff like this, because, for the longest time, Mike Tyson was saying a lot of positive things about, Anthony Joshua, but for the first time, it seems that, and he's been saying a lot of negative things about Deontay Wilder, but I guess when he saw Joseph Parker in there with Joshua, it kind of made him change his opinion on how this fight might play out. And I guess he saw Wilder versus Luis Ortiz, and he saw the improvements, I do also believe that Deontay Wilder is getting better, and he's improving as a fighter. I think Deontay Wilder is underrated. I think his awkward type of style is actually beneficial for him. I'm pretty sure some people might not agree with this, with what Iron Mike Tyson had to say. But Joshua was expected to knock out Joseph Parker. Many casual boxing fans and fanboys, let's be honest here, many Joshua fanboys, well, they thought that Joshua was going to just run right through Parker. But, if you look at that fight, Parker was moving a lot. And one thing I said in the lead up to the Joshua versus Parker fight was movement is going to give Joshua trouble. It's going to give him a lot of trouble because, Joshua needs a guy standing right in front of him so he can let his combinations off and really put a beating to the guy. But because Parker was on the move a lot and he was trying to play the counterpuncher, some of my subscribers say that, he was kind of running up too much and he was very timid. And, I guess I could agree with you guys to a certain extent. But, Parker was just trying to play the counterpuncher. And if you notice, that fight went the distance. So I believe that movement plays a major factor when it comes to how long you last with Joshua. The thing is, you have to be more offensive. You have to be very offensive. You have to be able to take risk. So I think that had a major part to do as to why AJ couldn't knock out Joseph Parker. If Joseph Parker would have elected to stand right in front of AJ, trust me, AJ would have knocked him out most definitely. Or at least drop him or hurt him, because when AJ was landing, he was able to land flush on Parker, but Parker was moving a lot. When it comes to Wilder, I would imagine that Iron Mike Tyson saw the Luis Ortiz fight, and he probably saw that, he was probably impressed that Deontay Wilder was able to compete with someone like Luis Ortiz. Deontay Wilder showed a lot of flaws in the Luis Ortiz fight, but he also showed a lot of quality in the Luis Ortiz fight. This is a guy that many people make fun of his, technique, his lack of technique, his, fundamentals, his lack of fundamentals. But this is a guy who was able to drop and hurt a very experienced, very standout amateur in the name of Luis Ortiz, King Kong Ortiz, that is. And this is a guy who many people say lacks boxing skills. Many people are shocked that he's a champion to begin with. But it just goes to show you how good Wilder really is and how underrated he really is. Because if he really was trash, he would have just gotten destroyed and he would have lost to Luis Ortiz. But he was still able to compete with Luis Ortiz. He was still able to drop him. He was still able to hurt him. He was still able to defeat him. And he showed a lot of bravery, a lot of heart in that fight. So, it just goes to show you, just because you are not necessarily more as talented as your opponent doesn't mean you can't beat him. I mean, just the other weekend, Jarrett Hurd faced Harrison Delora. Harrison Delora was the better fighter. He was a more skillful fighter than Jarrett Hurd. But Jarrett Hurd had ambition, and he had youth, and he had something called determination and will to win, and he really walked down Harrison Delora. You know, he was applying the pressure like crazy, and his will and outwork and basically letting his hands go more than Harrison Delora. He was able to outwork Harrison Delora and hurt him, despite the fact, and drop him, despite the fact that Harrison Delora was a better talent than he was. You know, just like Deontay Wilder. Now, Deontay Wilder didn't walk down, Luis Ortiz, but he was able to land on Luis Ortiz and hurt him and drop him and end him, despite the fact that, Luis Ortiz was a better talent. Mike Tyson believes that Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua will end in a knockout, and I agree. But it depends. Maybe Deontay Wilder fights a little too cautious. If he fights a little too cautious, I wouldn't be surprised if the fight went the distance, because Deontay Wilder has faster left footwork than Anthony Joshua, and if he tries to play the counterpuncher, keep it long type of fight, the fight might go the distance. But Deontay Wilder's an opportunist, and if he is able to land on Anthony Joshua, I think he'll go for broke, and we'll try to stop him. So I'm pretty sure maybe half or maybe more than half of the boxing fans, hardcore boxing fans, are picking the winner of AJ versus Wilder to get knocked the fuck out. I certainly wouldn't doubt if that happened. It most likely will happen. Matter of fact, I hope it happens, because then there won't be no controversy. If the fight went the distance, there'll probably be some people saying this guy lost, this guy, was robbed. So that's why I always prefer when fighters knock their opponents out, because then you can't question it. You can't say this guy got a gift decision, and you can't say bullshit like that. For example, if Luis Ortiz would have gone the distance with Wilder, and if they would have given the fight to Wilder, everybody would have been saying Luis Ortiz got robbed. But you see, because Luis Ortiz got knocked out against Wilder, no one could say that, right? Because yes, he was winning, he was beating Wilder, but Wilder stopped him. Anyway, guys, that's all I have to say. Let me know what you guys think of Iron Mike Tyson's comments. Do you guys agree with Tyson's opinion on this whole situation, or do you guys not agree with Tyson's opinion? Leave a comment. I would much appreciate it. And if you watch the video from start to finish, as always, much appreciated, guys. I'm out. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.